Hello there, Natural Nation. Now, this episode first aired in January 2021. Now, I've decided to replay this episode as an encore episode because it's that good and it really deserves another listen. Way back in episode number 28, I called the podcast Holistic Health Matters then. I interviewed Dr. Katie Nall, who is an expert in emotional freedom technique. Now, if you're not familiar with emotional freedom technique or EFT, it's a powerful way to overcome any emotional issue. We do a demo on this episode. It's really quite impressive. It's worth a listen. EFT is a powerful tool when it comes to managing our emotions. Now, as you, the Natural Nation, know, if we really care about our health, we've got to consider our mental emotional component. There's a powerful mind-body connection that's well documented in the medical literature, but most practitioners ignore it. But the Bible doesn't ignore it. For instance, Proverbs 17:22, a joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Or Proverbs 14:30, a tranquil heart gives life to the flesh, but envy makes the bones rot. Or how about Proverbs 16:24, gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body. Now, anyone can do EFT, and it's free, so I want to make sure you're aware of this very useful tool. I know you're going to enjoy listening to my conversation with Dr. Katie Nall, so let's jump right into it. Here's a sample of what you'll hear on this episode of Holistic Health Matters.
I found EFT accidentally. I wasn't looking for it. What I was looking for was a way to help math students overcome their fear and anxiety. When you said the word math, and God forbid you have to take a test in math. And what I found, David, was there is nothing out there. I mean, nothing. So I put a little change in my search and I said, well, how do you just overcome fear and anxiety in general? And that was in the year 2010.
Welcome to the Holistic Health Matters podcast, where it's all about maximizing your health potential in body, mind, and spirit so that you can pursue the abundant life more effectively. I'm your host, David Sandstrom, naturopathic doctor and biblical health coach, and this is episode number 28. This episode is brought to you by Sauna Space. If you're serious about your health and well-being, then you should consider detoxifying your body effortlessly and naturally with a Sauna Space home sauna. To learn more, go to my website, davidsandstrom.com/resources, and click on the Sauna Space logo and start enjoying all the health benefits of a Sauna Space Zero EMF near-infrared home sauna today. Today's guest is Dr. Katie Nall. Although Dr. Katie's degrees are in mathematics, statistical computer science, and mathematics education, her passion is showing others how to dissolve their waffles, worry, anxiety, fear, frustration, lethargy, exhaustion, and stress. In addition to being a TEDx speaker, she's practiced emotional freedom techniques since 2010 and is an advanced certified practitioner with training in trauma and quantum tapping. Dr. Katie, welcome to Holistic Health Matters.
Oh, David, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so impressed with what you're doing and the important information that you're sharing with everyone.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So your book is called Shower Blessings, Find Time to Meditate in Our Busy Lives. So how did you come about writing that book?
I was having lunch with a friend, and she was complaining about how she really needed to meditate, but she just didn't have time in her life. And I said, well, you should do what I do and just meditate in the shower. And she says, what are you talking about? So I explained to her some of the techniques that I use when I meditate in the shower. And she said, oh my gosh, you should write a book about that. So the entire book is dedicated to Patricia for her suggestion.
All right. That's great. I saw in your bio that you are a graduate of FIT, the Florida Institute of Technology in Melbourne, Florida. I'm an airline pilot, so I know about FIT because they have a really big aviation program.
Yes. And my advisor in math education did work over in that department as well.
Is that right? Yeah, I guess that's a pretty big part of the school down there. I remember checking them out years ago when I was learning to fly. It looked like a great program.
Yeah, they do have a very strong program. It's a great school. I was I was blessed to be able to have a school nearby, 30 miles away, for me to get graduate work. And I started it all before a lot of the online courses really took off. And even the online courses, it's hard to find a PhD in math or math education.
I'll bet.
So, yeah.
The funny thing is, you have a technical background, and now you're in the healing arts. And I also have a technical background as an airline pilot, but I'm in the self-improvement, personal development space. I call it holistic health. And I think we have kind of similar backgrounds, and we transition from that technical world into, well, not so technical anymore, a little bit more of a, I don't know, soft science.
Intuitive, maybe.
Yeah, more intuitive. Yeah. So I think that's really cool.
I like that, David. I think that's an interesting analogy that you brought up. And actually, being an advanced certified practitioner in emotional freedom technique has led me on to other trainings. And one of the other trainings I've had is I trained to become a Reiki master.
Okay. Well, if we have time, we'll talk about that some. But I definitely want to jump into EFT because that's a really cool thing. So you have a super cool TED Talk where you talked about how you first started using EFT. Why don't you just give us a little background on that?
Oh, David, thank you so much for prompting that. When you said the word math, and God forbid you have to take a test in math, and what I found, David, was there is nothing out there. I mean, nothing. And so I put a little change in my search, and I said, well, how do you just overcome fear and anxiety in general? And that was in the year 2010. I found EFT accidentally. I wasn't looking for it. What I was looking for was a way to help math students overcome their fear and anxiety. I found Nick Ortner's Tapping Summit, and it was a 10-day summit of information about emotional freedom technique, or EFT. It's also called tapping. And so I watched all 10 days, and I said, I wonder if this is going to work on our math students. So I bought the book and bought the DVD, watched all the videos, and had a long line of what I would call desperate students. David, they had all done so well in all their other classes, and they'd get to math, and they would just completely freeze. I just couldn't believe it. And you didn't have to have many conversations with them to find out that there was a teacher who humiliated them. There was a parent who told them they couldn't do it. There was a sibling who made it difficult for them. And there was actually some pretty traumatic situations as well. And I kept thinking, well, in a few students, we could just talk about it, and they'd be, okay, I think I can get through it now. And they were successful. But there were way more students who had so much fear and so much anxiety about math, I couldn't even get them to register for the class. I mean, some of them were ready to abandon. It was the last class they needed for their degree, and they were ready to walk out the door. Wow. It's crazy. So I really wanted to help them, because most of them were adult students, and they needed the degree to be able to move forward in their career. Yeah. So I thought, hey, you guys are desperate. Desperate clients are always the best, David.
It's true. They're motivated for change. Absolutely.
And they're open, right? They're open to doing things. So I said, hey, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but why don't we try it? And a number of students were open. We tried it, and one by one, they came back in my office, and they're like, I've never gotten an A in math before in my life. And I'm like, well, there you go. Wow. That's great. And then there was one guy, Scott. He came into my office. He was as tall as my doorway and as wide. And he came in and he swooped me up in his arms, and he was like, Dr. Nall, if it hadn't been for that, quote, voodoo stuff, end quote, I never would have gotten my degree. And I was like, well, it's not really voodoo, Scott. But so there were a lot of people that I was able to help with tapping. And so I thought, I wonder if I should get certified in this, right? Now, my husband wasn't keen on this because I'm an adult and keep going back to school. And he's like, when will this quit? But I went back and I got certified in level 1, level 2, level 3, trauma tapping, which is really important, and actually quantum tapping, which is very interesting. And then I started taking on all kinds of clients. So I still work with students. I have a student in Belgium and Switzerland, and I have students in Canada, and I have students all over the world, really, that I work with to help them overcome their fear and anxiety about math. But I also have a lot of other clients. I have speakers who have frustration with the industry. I have writers who are struggling with a lack of focus. I have parents who are just struggling, right?
Who isn't?
And yeah, right. And especially in this time. David, it's interesting. Dr. Hans Seeley was a medical doctor in about 100 years ago, and he defined stress as being triggered by one of three things: uncertainty, lack of information, or loss of control. And the clients that I've seen nowadays are feeling all three. We're uncertain about what's going on right now, right?
Yeah.
We feel a lack of information. Depending on which way you turn, you're going to hear different stories, right?
Yes.
And a loss of control. And, if we weren't in the situation that we were now, a lot of us would be doing different things in our lives. So when you add all three of those together, the waffles are boiling.
Absolutely. We all know that. Going through this summer, 2020, because it's been a pretty tumultuous year, very stressful on a lot of people, job losses, right. And it's been a lot of stress. And I think when it comes to holistic health, there's almost nothing we do that doesn't come under the category of stress reduction. That's a big deal. When we are in a chronic state of stress, our bodies are designed to move into stress, but we're only supposed to be there temporarily, and we're supposed to come back out of it, because we do our right. healing and repairing. Our cellular repair takes place when we're in a restful state, not when we're in a stressful or a fight or flight state.
This is true.
So this is a big deal. I'm really glad I have you on. We can talk about this, and I think EFT is a really simple method to reduce stress levels.
You know what I like about it, David, is that EFT is non-addictive, it's non-invasive, and there's no side effects, no adverse side effects. And the coolest thing is it's self-administered. And the cost is pretty reasonable.
Free.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Once you learn it, you can do it. Now there's some situations where it's going to be much better to work with a certified practitioner.
Yes.
If you have a large trauma, or if you feel like you can't work your way through something. I actually spent 8 hours on my own personal living room couch one day trying to work through a situation when I would have been much better off working with a certified practitioner, because a practitioner is going to ask questions that, David, you wouldn't ask yourself,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they can get to the core of it much faster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. Regarding stress, some stress is a good thing, right? So mm-hmm. when is stress productive, and when does it become destructive?
There's actually an interesting study that was done on that, and there's a chart that shows that no stress is basically no productivity. If you don't have any stress or motivation, why bother, right? Mm-hmm. And that as the stress increases, your productivity will increase up to a certain level. And it's really a function of how much you have to concentrate and how many decisions you have to make. So, for instance, if you're running a straight line sprint and all you have to do is concentrate on running, you can never get enough stress, because all you're doing is moving muscles, right? You don't have to think, you don't have to make a decision, you don't have to turn, you're just running straight out. So in that situation, bring on the stress. Mm-hmm. Most of us are not in that situation.
Right.
Most of us have to make decisions on a regular basis, and most of us have got to be productive, especially now under unusual circumstances.
Yeah.
In that situation, the lower the stress, the higher the productivity. So the studies have shown that if the stress increases past the point of your highest optimal productivity, your productivity directly decreases. So it's a bell curve where, as stress increases, productivity increases up to a certain level. Then as stress increases, the productivity goes back down that hill. Mm-hmm. And the point is, where is that optimal? And people can tell you. They'll come in and they'll say, I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, we're a little past optimal.
We're on the downhill side of that bell curve.
Yeah. But if we work together and can remove that negativity. David, I have to tell you about my first client. which was my ever-loving husband.
Yeah.
I sat him down on the couch and I said, okay, honey, come sit right here. And I want you to tell me all your negative emotions right now. Well, David, he kind of gave me a side eye. And he's like, okay, we've been together almost more than 40 years now. And all you've told me for 40 years is that I got to think positive. And now you want me to say something negative? He's like, I smell a trap.
He thought you were setting him up.
He knew I was setting him up.
Yeah.
I said, no, you don't understand, honey. Here's the thing. Positivity hasn't been working. So we're going to try something different. Uh-huh. And it took me a while to get him to try it out. But this was funny, David, is that he would come home from work, right, and moan and cry and complain about this and that and the other day after day after day. And finally I sat him down. I said, honey, I know you don't buy into this, but I'd like for you to tap with me just to help me out. Mm-hmm. So I just repeated back all the words he'd been saying for the past few weeks, right?
Yeah.
About his frustration and with this client, with this person, with that one. And we went on and on. And afterwards he's like, well, that didn't work. And I said, okay, that's fine. Well, next day he came home, and David, he did not complain. He didn't whine. There was nothing. So I couldn't stand it. And finally I said, so how was your day? He says, it was great, like it always is. And I said, well, do you think tapping had anything to... No. He said, I'm in charge of this. I've got this all under control. And I was like, okay.
You know, that brings up a really super interesting point. When I had my health coaching practice, people would come in because they had some issue going on. Maybe mm-hmm. somebody come in with knee pain. I'm like, okay, mm-hmm. let's get you off of some of the pro-inflammatory foods, and let's get you on some supplements that might help with the inflammation, some herbs or enzymes, those types of things. And let's schedule another appointment in 2 weeks. So they'd leave the office, they'd go implement the changes, and then they come back in, and I'd always look over my notes to see what they're doing there. And I'd say, so how's the knee pain? And they'd say something like, what knee pain? Well, that's what you came in for last week. Oh yeah, that. I haven't even thought about that in the last week. So when our bodies and our minds are functioning the way they should, we don't even notice them. Mm-hmm. But when they're not, then we notice. Then we turn into the, well, what's that Snickers ad where you turn into the angry bear or whatever it is. Then it's visible. But
right.
when things are working right, they tend to go in the background, and it's a little bit more invisible. So I think it's a really good point. There's something else I wanted to revisit that you said a moment ago about stress, how we can be on the front side of the bell curve where we're actually increasing our performance, but then we get past a point where the performance decreases. I'm thinking about test anxiety. Mm-hmm. And as an airline pilot, we go into the simulator every 9 months. And the reason why we train in the simulator is because we can practice more difficult things, more challenging things than we ever could in a real airplane. Mm-hmm. When we go to the simulator, we'll have engine failures, we'll have fires, we'll have smoke in the cockpit, emergency descents, ditching, you name it. Those are full sessions. And I can tell you from experience that when you get under a great deal of stress like that, you need to perform, because if you don't perform, your job is actually on the line. There's a tremendous amount of pressure for us. We've got to pass this check ride. And when you get to a point where you're just so loaded up with stress, you crack. And you cannot perform to the best of your ability. And sometimes the instructor will see it and they'll say, hey, you know what, I think it's time for a break. Why don't we go down and have a drink of water, and we'll come back in a few minutes. And then you come back in and you're a new person. So I can relate to how that stress can really impact our performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's a good segue, David. What do you think about doing a short little tapping round for your audience?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Not everybody may be as familiar with tapping as you are.
Okay. Let's do it.
Okay. So when I first start out with someone, David, first I let them know all the places that we're going to tap on our bodies. So I'm going to describe it in some detail. But if you use the fingers of one hand, the fingertips of one hand, and you're going to use those fingertips to tap on the side of the other hand, and that side is going to be between your little finger and your wrist.
Okay.
And so you just tap right there. And while you're tapping, if you could kind of focus where you have tension in your body. Do you have a headache right now, or maybe your neck's tight?
No, that's
shoulders?
easy. It's the neck, for sure.
It's the neck. It's the neck and shoulders. We've been doing a lot of sitting at our computers, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah, and then take one hand or the other, it doesn't matter which or both, and tap on the top of your head. right on the crown of your head. And while you're tapping, think about where that tension is.
Okay.
And you can feel that tension, yeah. And every now and then, just breathe out. Just take a breath out. Next place we're going to tap, David, is on the edge of the eyebrow, right above the nose. And you use 2 fingers of one hand. And again, it's one hand or the other or both. It doesn't really matter. And tap right there. And then on the side of the eye, right between the edge of your eye and your hairline, tap right there.
Does it matter left or right side?
Neither side. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah. Or either side, not neither. I'm sorry.
I knew what you meant.
Either side works. And then under your eye, David, that's where I keep all my bags, is right under your eye.
Okay, I'm tapping.
And then under your nose, you tap.
Upper lip?
Right above your lips.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Okay. And then under your lips above your chin is the next place that you tap. And then what's an easy thing to do is if you cross your arms at your wrist right in front of you and use both hands to tap on your collarbone. And think about that tension and blow your air out. Yeah. And then the next thing you do is right underneath your arm, right where your ribs are. Just use the palm of a hand, or if you want to give yourself a hug, you can, and tap on your ribs right there.
The bottom of the ribs, like the lowest rib?
The upper ribs. Upper ribs.
Got
Yeah,
it.
about 4 inches under your arms. Mhm.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And then blow all your air out. And just think about where your tension is. And how's that feel now, David?
It's feeling better.
Okay.
It really does.
Let's power up. You ready?
Okay.
Okay, to power up, I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. And for your audience members, they can answer their own answers because, David, what's important is that we use the client's words. So when your audience members are listening to this, whatever words are right for them, those are the words they need to use, okay?
Okay.
So the first thing I'm going to ask is this a true statement? Right here, right now, I feel safe.
Yes.
Okay. For your audience members, if that's not true, here are some other things they can say. They can also say, someday I might feel safe, or they can say, I accept the way I feel, or they can say, I choose to be gentle with myself. So they need to pick one of those phrases that is true for them. Okay?
Okay.
Next question I'm going to ask is, you mentioned that you had tightness in your neck, so the location would be important. And I'm going to ask you, what triggered that tightness in your neck? Is there some particular incident that happened recently that you can pinpoint?
Well, I can tell you this. I've been doing a lot of computer work, and I've been trying to experiment with standing desk and sitting desk, and I've been looking down a lot, and I think that's the source of it. I think my posture hasn't been great.
Okay. So when you think about being at the computer a lot and looking at all this software and your posture not being great, what emotion is coming up?
I feel stressed. I feel like I'm under the gun.
Under the gun and stressed. Okay. And then I think this last question, from 0 to 10, where 0 is like, oh, no big deal, I'll do my stretching and I'll be better. And 10 is the most stressed and the most under the gun you've felt in your entire life.
I'd say 3 or 4.
Okay, 3 or 4. So let's start. We're going to power up those tapping points that we just went through. And so with using the fingers of one hand, you're going to tap on the side of the other hand, right between the little finger and the wrist.
Okay.
And you're going to say, even though. When I think about my posture working on all this software.
When I think about my posture working on all this software and computer issues.
Yeah, software and computers. I feel stressed in my neck.
I feel stressed in my neck.
I feel under the gun.
I feel under the gun.
And right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
And right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
And we're going to do a couple more like that, right while you're tapping on the side of your hand. Even though.
I
feel stressed and under the gun in my neck.
I feel stressed and under the gun in my neck.
When I think about my posture and just sitting at the computer for so long.
When I think about my posture and sitting at the computer for so long.
Right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
Right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
And then the last time, even though. I've been sitting at the computer for so long.
I've been sitting at the computer for so long.
And when I think about my posture from that.
I feel this
stress and under the gun in my neck.
I feel the stress and under the gun in my neck.
Right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
Right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
And then top of your head, David. Oh, this stress in my neck.
The stress in my neck.
And on the edge of the eyebrow, this stress in my neck.
The stress in my neck.
And then on the edge of your eye, between your eye and your hairline, I'm feeling under the gun in my neck.
I'm feeling under the gun in my neck.
And then under your eye, tap along and say, this stress and under the gun in my neck.
The stress and under the gun feeling in my neck.
And then under your nose, above your lips, this stress and under the gun feeling in my neck.
The stress and under the gun feeling in my neck.
And then under your lip, above your chin, tap and say, oh, my neck is full of stress.
My neck is full of stress.
Now cross your arms at your wrist and tap on your collarbone. My neck is full of stress and feeling like it's under the gun.
My neck is full of stress and I'm feeling under the gun.
And then 4 inches under your arm, use your palm and tap your ribs while you say, this stress and feeling of being under the gun in my neck.
This stress and feeling under the gun in my neck.
Now blow all your air out, David. How's it feeling over there?
I gotta tell you, it feels like I just got a chiropractic adjustment. It really does. I mean, there's a noticeable difference. Mm-hmm. I knew this was powerful because I have done it before, but I am thoroughly impressed. I'm telling you, that was fantastic.
Oh, I'm so glad you're relieved.
Wow. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right. I just feel like I just got a massage. Wow.
Well, as it turns out, our emotions usually, when they get stuck in parts of our body. And so if we can open up the energy pathways and allow the energy to move unfettered, then yeah, we do feel better physically. And our neck aches, our stomach aches, that pain in our knee, whatever it is, that's our body trying to tell us, take care of me.
Yeah, our bodies are always talking to us, and we really do need to tune in and listen to them. I think it's a God-given mechanism. And again, we tend to live with this stuff. We think it's normal because it's been going on for so long, but it's not normal.
No.
We're not supposed to be going through life with stressed out necks.
That's right.
I'm sure there's some people that are listening that are a little skeptical. They might be saying, oh, it's just all in the mind. It's just he wanted to feel better, so that's what happened. But I can tell you this. I know a little bit about these energy meridians that the body has, and it was actually mapped out with the ancient Chinese medicine. With they about 3,000 years ago, they mapped out, I think it was something like 300 different energy meridian points in the body. And for a long time, nobody knows how they did it. They didn't have any electronic equipment back then, obviously. But in the 1950s, there was a guy by the name of Voll, and he developed a system called electroacupuncture by Voll. And what he did is he took electrical instruments, placed them on the skin, and they could measure resistance. And electricity has resistance. It's kind of like water flowing down a stream. If there was a few rocks in the stream, the rocks would represent resistance to the water flow. So energy flows through these meridians in our bodies, and these blockages we have are like the rocks in the river where the energy is not flowing the way it's designed to. And if we can remove those blocking factors, the energy flows better. And they were able to measure this electronically with a simple electronic device that measures resistance. You can buy those for $10 at Home Depot. And but they had to adapt it to the skin. So they proved that the acupuncture points that were said to exist actually do exist in the places they were said to exist, and they found hundreds more. It's pretty amazing how complex our bodies are and how they work, but we are bioelectric chemical machines. Our bodies are. Of course, we have more to a human being than a body. We are a spirit. We have a mind as well. But this is an interesting point, and I think it's based in solid science. This is not, as that football player said, voodoo medicine.
Yeah.
No, it's based in good science.
Actually, there was a researcher, I believe, from Auburn University who about 3 years ago did research and found very, very small, like fishing line almost human hair size circuitry going through our body that were aligned with the traditional Chinese medicine energy meridians. And what was interesting, David, is that they were invisible until they were hit or tapped. And once they were tapped, they turned yellow.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, that's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think there's more to research. I think there's more to find out. We don't know everything, right?
Absolutely. And that's kind of the cool thing about the health and wellness field is there's always new research being done. There's always something to learn. And I'm a lifelong learner. And it's probably one of the reasons why I love this field so much. It's great to stay up on the research. So anyway, Dr. Katie, thank you so much for your time. If someone wants to get a hold of you or learn more about you, where should they go?
Well, I encourage people to email me. It's the easy way. My email address is hello, HELLO, at drnall.com. That's DRNALL.com. And I always challenge listeners. I always give out my phone number, and nobody ever calls. So maybe your audience might be the first to call.
Wow.
But they can call me at area code 772-480-0541. Love to hear from them.
All right, great, thanks. And you've got a really cool URL for your website.
My last name's Nall, Nall. So my website is Nall, followed by the word edge, EDGE, and that's a company. So it's knowledgecompany.com, NALLEDGECO.com.
Knowledgecompany.com. I love it. That's great. I won't forget that.
I do appreciate it.
Thanks for sharing. So people can get information on your website, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. All right, well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and thanks for that session.
Thank you, David. I so appreciate all the hard work that you're doing.
You're welcome. Take care. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Dr. Katie Nall. She's an expert in emotional freedom technique, and I want you to know that I really believe in EFT because it can really help with any emotional issue. It can help with something you're going through today. It can help with childhood trauma or PTSD type issues. And don't forget, there's a strong, powerful connection between the mind and the body. The emotions we experience and the thoughts that come along with those emotions will have a profound impact on our physiology. So this is important stuff. The book that she referenced is called The Tapping Solution, A Revolutionary System for Stress-Free Living by Nick Ortner and Mark Hyman. I'll put a link in the show notes to that book on Amazon. If you want to go deeper, go to Dr. Katie's website, which is knowledge, NALLEDGECO.com, knowledgecompany.com. And you can become a client of hers if you want. And please don't forget, this episode is brought to you by Sauna Space. If you're serious about your health and well-being, then you should consider detoxifying your body effortlessly and naturally with a Sauna Space home sauna. To learn more, go to my website, davidsandstrom.com/resources, and click on the Sauna Space logo and start enjoying all the health benefits of a Sauna Space Zero EMF near-infrared home sauna today. If you're a regular listener to the show, you may have noticed that I've got a sponsorship in this episode. That's because, first and foremost, I want to serve you by curating quality resources to help you with your health and well-being. Please keep in mind that I would never recommend a product or resource that I don't 100% believe in and use myself. Not only that, it costs money to produce this show. You can support this effort by using the links on the resources page because when you make a purchase using my affiliate links there, you don't pay any more and I get a small commission. It's a win-win-win. You get plugged into great products and resources that I've vetted and curated. The manufacturer gets a new customer, and you support the show financially by providing a small affiliate commission. You can find all my recommended resources at davidsandstrom.com/resources. Spelled out, that's davidsandstrom.com/resources. Thanks for listening. I enjoyed serving you, and I'll talk with you next week. Be blessed.